I have Mr. Duck sitting right in front of me. Would you like to say anything, Mr. Duck? All right. Actually, he does.
Are you serious?
Listen, can you hear this?
Yes, I can.
He's quack. Right. So
he does quack.
Did a little.
You couldn't have gave him a better name than Mr. Duck.
Captain Quacksworth. How about that?
There you go. Now we're talking. Captain Quacksworth.
This was given to me by one of our salespeople in the building for a charity video that I put together for Adoption Month in November. And I gave this duck to my son. I took it back. So he kind of cried about that for a minute because I needed to make this video. Yeah. So anyway, he's going to join us for the YouTube stream today. Top 5 questions for the Orlando Magic. Stefan laid these out yesterday. We never got to them because we had a lot of other stuff to get to, but they are interesting. They are intriguing, and I'm curious to see where we fall on some of this. So Stefan, you take the reins here. What are your 5 burning questions for the Orlando Magic?
So I was sitting here and I was thinking, it's not even so much that I was thinking. I was watching Cole Anthony's stories on IG. And so apparently him and all of his
thinking.
Yeah, the opposite of thinking. Apparently him and a lot of Magic players are in Charleston, South Carolina right now, practicing, training, and working out at the College of Charleston. Jalen Suggs is there, Franz Wagner's there, Chumo Kiki, RJ Hampton's there, Markelle Fultz, like everybody's there. They're all working out together. And it made me then start thinking, well, what are we looking for in this Magic team? What are the top 5 questions that we have for the Orlando Magic going into next season? The first question I have for you, Kravitz, is what's the team's identity this upcoming season? What do you think is going to be the Magic's identity this coming season?
Pace and space. And I'm saying that because that's what Jamal Mosley told me it was going to be. That's what he wants to do. He wants this team to be fast, and he wants them to spread the floor. I don't know if that necessarily counts as an identity, but I do think, to put it in less basketball coach speak terms, I think they're going to be youthful, inexperienced, and fast. I think they're going to be pesky. And if you get a veteran team that's tired coming into town and isn't really into this because they're like, the Magic are bad, and we've had 3 games in a 5-day span, we're tired, the Magic will win those games.
That's one of the things that I'm looking for is fast and pesky. The Magic as an organization had it was like a slogan that they tested out a couple of years ago. They never actually ran with it. It was, can you keep up? I want them to reinvigorate the can you keep up slogan for this season, because I see this team as being a young, fast, pesky, irritating, mosquito-like team that is just bothering you into losses all season long.
That's right. And then you get all itchy afterwards.
Exactly. So the second question that we have for the Magic in the upcoming season, who starts at point guard? As you know, the Magic have 9 point guards on their 15-man roster.
Accurate.
And we need to know who's going to be the starting point guard for the Orlando Magic.
I think it's going to be Markelle Fultz. I believe he's going to be ready for the start of the year. I'm using that because of one of our sources, which is the general manager of the team. He came on the show and said he expects Markelle Fultz to be ready. It wasn't a guarantee, but there's an expectation that Fultz is going to be ready to go. He didn't do anything to lose his job other than getting hurt. However, I think it should be Jalen Suggs, and they should figure out how else to use Markelle Fultz.
So you don't anticipate Suggs moving to that 2 position, to that shooting guard position. You think they're going to keep him as a point guard, or you think they're going to rotate him back?
I think that's what they should do. Gotcha. I would like to see Jalen Suggs out of the gate. He's the point guard on this team day one. Just let it happen, because I think he'd be good at it day one too.
All right, so
I don't think they do that. I think Fultz will be will play the 1 and Suggs will play the 2.
I think so too. I think it'll be just like that. All right, so question number 3 that I have for you right now: who plays the 5 position? Now you've given me who's going to play point guard. Yeah. Who's going to play center, if we still call them a center in the NBA? But who's going to play that 5 spot? Because they're just like we have 9 point guards. We probably have 4 centers on this team too. Or at least people that are quote unquote labeled as centers.
Right. I mean, Ron Lopez could legitimately push for starter minutes.
He can.
He's not terrible. And he might be better than the 2 guys in front of him, but I think it'll be Wendell Carter. He showed something last year. He's really good on the defensive end. He's got upside offensively. I think he's just been more polished as an NBA player than the guy who's going to play right behind him in the intermediate. as long as he can hold off Rolo.
Which is Mo Wagner.
This is Mo Bamba. Wagner, I think, will not dress for most games.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think if he does dress, they're probably going to put him at the 4 instead of the 5, which I think is a better position for him. But it'll be interesting to see because you're right. Robin Lopez can get those starter minutes if we're looking at having someone who can make a difference down low. If we're looking at development and learning and, all that kind of stuff, then it's definitely going to be Wendell Carter.
For sure.
All right, number 4. And this one is a big one, Kravitz. What does minutes distribution look like for veterans versus rookies? So we're talking about, well, Robin Lopez can get a lot of these starter minutes. We've only got a couple vets on these teams. How do you think that Jamal Mosley is going to differentiate between how many minutes the vets get and how many minutes the rookies get? Or young players?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think it becomes easier for him when you go Carter Williams that's taken out of the equation.
It does. That was a big one right there.
Because then you have really the only guys that are left that you need to worry about would be, I believe, Terrence Ross and Robin Lopez. Is there anybody else that we would deem veteran status?
Not really.
So I think they will be in the rotation 20 minutes a game. But I don't think they get heavy minutes. My guess is they find a way to move off of Terrence Ross out of respect to him because he doesn't really fit. I would like to see him stay, and I think he'd be really good for these young guys. But they need to figure out how that all works, or do this: put him in the starting lineup. Forget about this T. Ross off the bench stuff, and see what a lineup looks like with him playing starter minutes right out of the gate at tip-off. I'd be okay with that too.
And then you've got that veteran aspect, that coaching aspect that's on the floor with you from the beginning of the game.
And I think that's important to have on your roster.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, Clarence, this is the big one. Right. Question number 5. The one that I have been dying to find out as long as we've been talking about all of our hyped upness about the Orlando Magic. What does success look like for this team next season?
If Jalen Suggs is the rookie of the year,
wow,
then that to me would be success.
Okay, so it's not a win-loss record thing.
Not really, but if we're talking win-loss record, if they could win 35 games, I think people will actually feel good about that. I know that doesn't sound exciting, but if they get to 35, it's going to look pretty good for a roster that's as undeveloped as they are. Getting close to that 40 range, I mean, that's near 500.
It is.
So that to me would be realistic success, would be 35, but none of it matters. If Jalen Suggs is the rookie of the year, then we're all going to smile when this season ends.
For me, it's put me in that play-in game. If you can get me in that play-in playoff game, I don't care if we lose by 65 points in that game. Get us in that game with an opportunity to knock somebody off, play Cinderella, get people real upset, like, oh my God, I can't believe it happened. Get us in there, and I think it's a completely successful season for the Orlando Magic.
I think if I was promised that Fulton Isaac were ready to go start of the year, I'd be there with you. But because we don't know how impactful those two guys can be, they really need to be good on the floor if this team is going to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot like last year, but a little bit more interesting because you can watch Jalen Suggs.
Yeah.
That's the realistic outlook on this team. Coming up next, it's Rays Day here on 96.9. You'll get the latest on the team next.